Hello and welcome to my 7th video on how to create your own minigames. In this video I'm going to be showing you how to create your own spectate GUI. And that's all I'm going to be doing for this video, because it's going to be pretty big. So to start off, go to your screen GUI and add a frame. This frame is going to be what says who you're currently spectating, and it'll have the controls to cycle through the players. Now, just like everything else, I'm gonna design this and I'm gonna speed up the video so you don't have to watch me for too long, but you'll still get a chance to see how I designed it. Okay, I finished designing the frame. Now, once you create your frame, make sure you, well, it won't matter what you call the frame, but I just called mine spectate frame. But you have to have a button called previous button and a button called next button. And then where it's going to say currently spectating, just leave it at text label. And now I'm going to add the button right underneath the playing button, or AFK button. I'm just going to duplicate it, call it spectate button. And I'm going to move it down. And remove this local script inside of it so it doesn't affect anything we do inside the new script. So I'm gonna create a local script in here inside the screen GUI, call it spectate, just so you don't get it mixed up with this one. Let's start off, just define player as game.players.localPlayer. This is going to be whoever's playing. So for me, when I click play, it'll be the Ice Zombie Slayer. For you, it'll be whatever your username is, or player 1. Next, define spectating as false, because by default we don't want them to be spectating. And index equals 1. Index is going to be whoever we're spectating inside of the temp contestants folder. That's going to come in handy because if they leave or they die or they win, they'll be removed from there, meaning you can't spectate them anymore, which is perfect. So index is wherever they are within temp contestants. So after that, create a function called change state. Now what this function is going to do is it's going to change if they're spectating or not. And this is going to avoid repetition, because we're going to be changing the value quite a bit, and this function will be changing the GUI's text for us and the visibility. So that's going to come in handy. So make this function change state bool if it's nil. So if you don't put anything within the parentheses, then it's just going to change it to the opposite. So if spectating is true, it'll be false. If spectating is false, it'll be true. So to do that, if bool is equal to nil, then spectating equals not spectating. That'll make it the opposite. But now we need to check if bool is true, or forget that, else if bool, or just else, spectating equals bool. So if bool is true or false, it'll set spectating to true or false, depending on what's here. Now to get it to update the GUIs, so if they are spectating, we want the spectate frame to be visible. If they're not, we want it to be invisible. And if they're spectating, we want the spectate button say if they're spectating, we want the spectate button say spectate, or stop spectating. And if they aren't spectating, we want it to say spectate. So if spectating, then I'm going to make a variable up here too. sp equals script.parent. That way I don't have to keep writing script.parent. So sp.spectate button.text equals stop spectating. And sp.spectate frame.visible equals true. Else, so now if spectating is false, sp.spectate button.text equals spectate. And sp.spectate frame.visible equals false. That should be it. Now I'm going to make another function, call it current minigame. What this function is going to do is it's just going to return the first child of current minigame, the model in workspace. So return workspace.current minigame get children square bracket 1 close square bracket. Okay, so this is gonna workspace.current minigame get children will be the table of whatever's inside current minigame, and then we're just getting the first thing, so whatever minigame they're playing. And that's going to be useful for this next function call it increment index, and for the parameter just put num. So how this is going to work is it's going to add whatever numbers inside the parameter. It's going to either be 1 or -1. So if they press Q, it's going to be -1. If they press E, it's going to be +1. And this is going to add it onto a temporary variable that I'm just going to call temp index equals index plus num. Now, there's going to be a problem with this. Let's say there's 3 people inside of the minigame, and you're spectating the third person, and you happen to press E. It'll try bringing it up to 4, which is too big, and that'll error. To fix that, it'll be pretty easy. First, I'm going to define the minigame. Minigame equals current minigame, the function. And then local temp contestants. This is just going to be the object, so the folder. Minigame info dot temp contestants. And then contestants will be a folder, not a folder, a table with temp contestants children. So that's it. Contestants will be the table, and now we just need to check. So if temp index is greater than number of contestants, then temp index equals 1. Because if we're at the last person, we want to bring it to the first person. And then another check if they go backwards too far, else if temp index is smaller than 1, then temp index equals number of contestants. Next function is going to be watch. So whatever the parameter is going to be player, and we're just going to first check if their character exists. If it does, we're going to spectate them. But before we do that, define camera equals workspace.current camera. That's whatever camera the player is looking through, which is right here. And a property of camera is camera subject, and that's whatever it's going to be watching. So first check if player, because you want to make sure the player exists, and player.character, and camera subject is not equal to player.character. So what this does is it checks if a player exists, if their character exists, and then a final check if the camera is not already watching that character. And then all you need to do is camera.camera subject equals player.character. Okay, now I'm going to start connecting the events. So whenever the button's pressed, these buttons right here, Q and E, or if the keys are pressed, which I'm going to do with user input service. So up here, define UIS, all in caps, equals game get service in user input service. User input service is a service that lets you check for keyboard input or input from any device, so it'll work on Xbox too, but I won't be showing you how to do anything on Xbox or mobile. Right now it's just going to be checking if they pressed a key on their keyboard. So UIS dot input began, connect function, and the argument is going to be input. Now there's a certain enum for input, and it's enum.keycode. So check if they pressed Q, we just do if input.keycode is equal to enum.keycode.q. Then increment index -1. Then else if they press E, input.keycode is equal to enum.keycode.e, then increment index 1. Okay, so those are the key downs, the key presses. Now I just need to check when the buttons are pressed. So sp script.parent dot spectate frame dot previous button dot mouse button one click connect function increment index -1. I'm going to copy this, replace the increment index to 1, and change the name of the button that's being clicked to next button. So when previous button is clicked, it'll go back one. When next button is clicked, it'll go forward by one. Okay, so the indexes are done. Now, time to make it work. So I'm going to use render step, which is part of run service. It goes a lot faster than a while true do loop with a wait, so that's why I'm going to use it. Game.replicated game get service run service dot render stepped connect function. Here I'm going to check for the minigame with the function here. So local minigame equals current minigame. Now check if it exists. If minigame, then I'm going to copy these here. So I'm going to need these to spectate whatever the index is, and this temp contestants is going to be for checking to see if the player is already in the minigame, because we don't want them spectating other people within the minigame if they're in it already. So check that. If temp contestants find first child player dot name. I forgot it then. So add a not in front of there. If not, temp contestants find first child player dot name. Then you're going to do the spectating, but before that, I'm going to do an else. So if they are part of the game, then do change state false, and also going to make the spectate button invisible. Okay. And we're also going to do this for if the minigame doesn't exist. So if the minigame doesn't exist, or they're already in, if they're playing the minigame, then they won't be able to spectate with these two here. But now, if they pass the checks and they can spectate, then now it's super simple. Just got to check if they're spectating. So if spectating, then increment index 0, because if the person they are spectating happens to die while they're spectating them, it'll probably make an error. So I'm just taking that extra step and incrementing index to 0. You should know that when you do +0, it doesn't change the number at all. But inside the function, it makes sure that the person will exist. Then watch contestants, open square bracket, index, close square bracket, dot value, because it's an object value, remember that. It's not the player. The value is the player. And that should be it. So now go to the main script, and I'm going to change the required players to 2 players, and I'm going to test with 3 players, so I could have the third person on the side spectating. And there's something I forgot to add in my other tutorials. Just before the intermission, the minigame stays, and that's the problem. But it can be easily fixed. Just go up here and you can copy the workspace.current minigame, clear all children. And then, oh, not yet. Before that, loop through the temp contestants and load their characters, because we don't want them to just fall. So for IV in pairs, workspace.current, or no, I forgot we have this clone variable here. Pairs clone dot minigame info dot temp contestants get children do if v dot value then v load character. And that should be it. So I'm going to test it out, see if there's any errors with 3 players. Okay, I'm going to go AFK just to make just so it doesn't throw me into the minigame while I'm spectating. Oh, wait, why is... Yeah, that's why. Hopefully. Yeah, that's it. I made the spectate GUI work, but not quite. I forgot to make it so when you click on the spectate button, then it'll change whether or not you're spectating. So if, no, not if, sp.spectate button.mouse button 1, click, connect function. Then change state. And remember, if we just leave it empty, it'll automatically set it to the opposite. So now with all of that, it should, and hang on. I forgot something inside of my increment index function. I forgot to do the most important part. Index equals temp index. Okay, so something is making it so it doesn't work properly. And I think, oh, okay, so something's wrong on the server side right now, but there's also something wrong inside of the GUI. I'll fix this though, because it's going to be easy. Right here, line 1, 2, 3. I did v load character, but v is the object value. Just add dot value. Hopefully you caught on to this yourself. If you did, props to you. Now I'm gonna look through here and pause the video until I find the problem. Okay, I think the problem is that I forgot to make the button visible. So after checking if they're not in the minigame, just do sp.spectate button.visible equals true. Choosing a minigame. There we go, the spectate button's there. And I can, whoa, what the heck? Okay, but it works now. Perfect. There's this one little thing with the text, but I can fix that. So go down to the spectate button, and you see if I change the text to stop spectating, it goes over. But if I check text wrap it'll keep the text inside of the GUI. And that's it. That's all for this video. Well, not yet. Gonna test it, make sure when the minigame ends it all works. Okay, so I set myself to AFK. And these two should go into the minigame. Disappearing plates. I'm gonna spectate one of them. And this, I can't tell which player this. Oh, gotta change the text here, which will be easy enough. Okay, there's a problem there. As you can see, the spectate button's gone and I'm not spectating myself. So there's a few problems here. It's a good thing I didn't end off the video there. Okay. Whenever we call change state false, we're also gonna call watch. So watch player. That should spectate ourselves, and in this watch function I want to change the text here to currently spectating : the name of the person who we're spectating. So sp.spectate frame text label text equals currently spectating : and then concatenate with 2 dots player with a lowercase p, otherwise we're going to be getting the local player. And since the disappearing plates minigame is the longest, I'm going to take it out so it's quicker to test. Okay, gonna click AFK. Oh, I clicked it too late. But I can go to player 3, spectate. Okay, currently spectating player 1, player 2, player 1, player 2. Okay, so I'm gonna go to player 2 and I'm gonna beat them. Never mind, too late. But I'm spectating myself, and that means it all works. Well, that's all for this video. In the next video, I'm going to be covering showing all the people who won. And if I could think of something else, I'll add that too. But that's all for this video, and I'll see you in the next one.